Dragon Ball Super manga Toyotarou has divulged his thoughts on the future of the manga without Akira Toriyama. In a recent press conference, Toyotarou acknowledged the difficulty of writing Dragon Ball without its original creator, but also expressed confidence that he could pull it off, as long as he is allowed to. The Dragon Ball Super manga's future has been uncertain for over a year. DBS Chapter 103 was released in March 2024, with the manga having been on hiatus since then, only returning recently for the one-shot Chapter 104 in February 2025, before immediately going back on hiatus indefinitely. Fans have understandably been concerned about whether the series will even return at all, but Toyotarou's recent comments on the matter provide more mixed signals for the beloved DBZ midquel. The Toriyama Archives give fans a chance to look back at yet another piece of classic Dragon Ball art that many have never seen before. At a recent press conference discussing the careers of Toyotarou, Katsuyoshi Nakatsuru, character designer for DBZ and Dragon Ball GT, and Kazuhiko Torishima, editor who oversaw Toriyama's work on Dragon Ball, Toyotarou was asked about how he could continue writing Dragon Ball Super without the input of Akira Toriyama. Toyotarou responded that as part author of Dragon Ball Super, continuing the series without Toriyama is not easy, but not impossible. However, Toyotarou clarified that it's not his decision whether he continues as sole author. As Torishima put it, ask Shueisha/Toei, the company in charge of Toriyama's estate. Toyotarou is clearly up for the challenge of adapting Dragon Ball Super on his own, but there are powers at work beyond his control. Toyotarou has no rights to the Dragon Ball franchise, and thus no input into whether he can write new chapters of the manga or not. This provides new insight into the most recent chapter release of the manga, Chapter 104, which was Toyotarou's first solo chapter following Toriyama's passing. Fans have theorized that this chapter was only released to fill out the end of Dragon Ball Super Volume 24 and didn't really indicate that the manga would actually continue beyond that. Dragon Ball Super's latest manga release finally puts a long-standing debate surrounding Broly's true power to rest. Even if DBS does continue without Toriyama, Toyotarou's statement that it won't be easy highlights how much input the late Dragon Ball creator really contributed to the manga. It's well known that Toyotarou would mostly take story ideas from Toriyama and adapt them in his own way before sending them back to Toriyama for approval. Toriyama would then provide vital corrections, some of which made a world of difference for the manga in subtle, nuanced ways. Toriyama's final corrections on the last page of Dragon Ball Super Chapter 103 have become iconic in their own right, so Toyotarou would likely have hard work ahead of him, if the powers that be even allow him to get that far. On the positive side, Dragon Ball as a franchise is far from ending. In the same press conference, Torishima noted that Dragon Ball GT came about because ending the franchise after DBZ would cause economic problems, given that so many people rely on the IP financially. As Dragon Ball remains one of the most successful anime and manga franchises in the world, it's unlikely the series will completely stop releasing content anytime soon. Source: X, formerly Twitter.